Hello. We're going to do two postures here today. One is plank, side plank, and also crow pose. So we're going to come onto all fours. Here's a couple of variations for the side plank, Vasisthasana. So you're going to line your left hand up in line with your left knee. You're going to turn to your right side and take your right foot in line with your toes. So the arch of your right foot lines up with the toes of your left foot. Top of the left foot is on the ground, and you try to get that right foot to where it feels like it's a Uttanasana foot, it's a standing foot, so the baby toe side of your foot is on the ground. Good. And that helps to lift the inner thigh. Good. And the hips are up, and then you turn to your right, and you can take your hand onto your hip. So believe it or not, this is balance challenging. And you kind of let yourself wiggle and wobble through this as you find your balance. The shin, the whole mid shin of your bottom left leg, of the leg that's on the ground, starts to find, it's not on your knee, your toes aren't light. You try to get that whole shin bone. It's a lever bone to help create balancing. The press of your right foot helps to create the balancing through the hips. And then the chest turns and spins up. You can turn your head to look up towards the ceiling and take your arm up. Good. My teacher, Rodney Yee, once said that this is a great prep for Trikonasana arms, triangle arms. As Carrie's nicely demonstrating. Now, if you need some support, we're going to call that bottom left leg a kickstand, and you can let that bottom left leg swing a little bit more behind you. And then that helps to create a little bit more stability and opening through the chest a little bit more. Excellent. And then bring that bottom left leg back to center. Good. And so now she's going to demonstrate that we're going to move right into the full side plank. So you can bend the right knee and bring it in front of you, so it becomes the kickstand up by the hip. And then straighten your bottom left leg out. Good. And once again, so this is a variation, and you're pressing strongly into both legs. The hips are rising up. That's it. Beautiful. The feet and the legs are very active because they become the pump house for the chest. The arm, once again, can go up towards the ceiling. You can take a gaze, your drishti, through the tip of your nose up towards the eyes. And then, as you progress, you can just take that right leg and swing it to stack them on top of one another. And again, you don't want to slouch. The hips are heavy, the legs aren't strong enough. Show us a little slouch there, Carrie. So we don't want to end up doing that. That hurts the it hurts the shoulder, it hurts the elbow. Yes, you see, it's not pretty. So now we're going to go ahead and demo. So maybe turn around the other way. Here's another approach into coming into Vasisthasana, side plank. So she's going to come into downward facing dog, lifting the hips and the head. Beautiful. Now she's going to begin to pivot the hips, so her feet are going to stack on top of one another, and she's going to turn now to her left. Oh, the other way. There you go. Now she's stacking one foot right in front of another. This is a nice other variation. She's going to let the hips come down. Beautiful. Good. Now lift them up just a little bit higher. Good. So you're able to push that energy from the hips out through the feet. Yes. Beautiful. And then you can try that kickstand pose. And this way we call it kickstand. It comes up there. And variations of how high that foot comes. It can come just to the knee. So take it down a little bit lower. There you go. But it's important to work on lifting the hips. Good. Opening the chest. Excellent. And there she is. Ta-da! Vasisthasana. It's just a fun word to say. Excellent. And then roll back down into downward facing dog. From here, we're going to move into crow pose. So you can bend the knees. We can play with this in various ways. This is kind of just a fun way to play. So bend the knees, lift the sit bones, look up between your hands, and you're going to jump, hop, take several steps if you like, and walk your hands to, or jump your feet to the outside of your hands. Good. And then begin to play a little bit with your squat. She's going to open up her hips. Excellent. Good. And doing that, so maybe turn around this way just a little bit to show them how you're bracing the knees are to the outside, you bend. Yes, so now she's starting to demonstrate the communication between the upper arm and the knee or the shin. So they're bracing up against one another. And then go ahead and take your hands down to in between the feet. There you go. Oh no, you had them right out in front of you a little bit. Good. And then again, you want to squeeze the inner thigh. So the inner thighs are squeezing onto, and you're just practicing getting low down in there into a squat. And then you can just practice rocking back and forth on your toes. Excellent. And just feel that shin, the communication between the shin. The knees have really got to hug in. Good. And you rock back and forth. And good. And then you rock up onto the toes. Excellent. Good. And then I'm going to have you do a complete 180 there and then face towards, keep turning to your left. Now we're on the other side. So now she's going to show you how the knees are still braced up against the upper arms, what happens in those toes as she rocks forward. And you take your time. There's a lot of emotions, fear of falling. You know, we don't want to fall onto our face. So use the breath. The belly can hollow up, and then you just begin to pick up the feet. Yes. Mula Bandha, if you know the bandhas of the body, Mula Bandha, the floor of the perineal floor slightly lifts, and also the navel. Those two to incite the stability and the lift through the pelvic floor. Very nice. A nice thing to do after this is a Uttanasana, a standing forward bend. Let everything lengthen out. Opening the hips. Beautiful. And then inhale and come all the way up to standing. Thank you. Namaste.